Hey beautiful souls, hope you're having a great Wednesday, and jumping in with today's video. Are you upset or are you being set up? And I'd like to just use that phrase because often the universe or life, whatever you want to call it, will bring us opportunities to heal parts of ourselves that we actually aren't even aware exist until they're triggered by somebody else or somebody else's behavior. I had a previous client reach out to me yesterday, and she was just saying she was feeling really challenged in a particular situation where she has clients as a regular part of her business, and a particular client that wasn't all that, they were hard to work with, they demanded a lot of her, and they were kind of slow getting their work in and things like that. And they packed up and decided to leave. So they had said, I don't necessarily want you to keep doing my work for me. And she said, logically, I could really understand that was actually a blessing. But emotionally, it was actually eating away at her. And she says, she drops into this very low feeling vibe, feels really, really low and flat in herself. And what's actually happening in that moment is shame is actually being triggered. Now, this can come from the form of feeling rejected by somebody else, or that something, that we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or we're not enough. We are meaning making machines as human beings. We're always making meaning. Now, the trick with this is that often we're not consciously making it mean something. Logically, we might have an idea and we're trying to justify with our logical mind, but it is always the gut response. It is always the emotional reaction, which is letting you know that which is still left to be healed inside of you in that moment. And this is why it's so critical to understand this, because otherwise we think we're upset for the event. We think that we're upset for the thing that just happened. Now, this also happens in personal relationships as well, where the thing that you're fighting about is never the thing that you're actually really fighting about. There's always a deeper wound, generally for both people, particularly if it's an argument, or if there's one person that's super reactive. It means that there's been a particular trigger or a wound that's actually happened. But often what's actually happening is that shame experience is being triggered, meaning that we believe that we're not enough, or that we will lose love, or that we aren't acceptable, or that it's all our fault, or something else is going on there that's triggering a shame response. And the shame response is a very biological reaction within the body, just the same as the fight and flight response. And shame is when we can't look somebody in the eyes. We tend to want to withdraw. We feel very badly about ourselves. We feel embarrassed. When I experience shame, I tend to feel like I don't even deserve to live. It's not that I want to harm myself or anything like that, but I actually feel so low about myself that I feel like I actually don't deserve to be here. Shame is one of the most difficult experiences as human beings that we have. And when we're in shame, it can be a very difficult situation, because you often don't even know. It took me years. I've been doing emotional work, learning this stuff, self-development, for years and years, 12 years plus. And it's literally only been in the last probably 1 to 2 years where I've really started to understand more about the mechanism of shame and when I'm actually triggered or feeling shame. And one way that you can become more aware of this is if you're blaming somebody else, because blame is the fastest way out of your own personal shame. And so you can see how this can escalate very quickly, perhaps in a personal relationship where both people are triggered into shame. They're both feeling that they're not enough or they're not worthy in some way, shape or form, and now we blame the other in order to try and escape our own shame. And when we blame the other, that triggers more shame in the other, and you can see how this ping-pongs back and forth very that. Now, in the case of the person that reached out to me and was just trying to understand, what is this low-level feeling? It can be the fear, that feeling of rejection. It can be that feeling of shame or I'm not enough. And again, we have to sit with our inner child and do some inner healing work, or just getting really clear, asking ourselves, what am I actually really making this mean? This is a lot of the processes that I take my clients through, particularly in my Thrive program, because we all look to align attachment versus our authenticity. And I'll just explain what I mean about that and how that can often trigger a sense of shame as well. So as human beings, our deepest desire, our deepest need, particularly from the ego survival mind, or particularly as young children, hey Helen, great to have you on, honey, is that need for attachment, is that need to fit in, belong, be accepted, and fit in and, be accepted by the tribe. Therefore, any form of rejection or any form of you're not enough or you're not acceptable in whatever way, shape, or form is incredibly painful, and we are hardwired to fit in. So that registers as trauma, literally, in the brain. And of course, there's varying degrees of trauma. I'm not going to talk about, go into all of that, but any time that we feel that we're not valued, loved, or accepted for who we are, or that's being threatened in that moment, we register a form of trauma. And often in that moment, we will disregard, or we will, deny our most authentic feelings in order to fit in, belong, and be accepted. And so what actually happens over a period of time is we start to diminish, we start to suppress more and more of our feelings, more and more of our own needs, our own desires. And this is where we start to learn. Good morning, Erica. Great to have you on as well, darling. This is where we start to learn, more people-pleasing kind of attributes. Saying no is incredibly difficult, or we experience a lot of guilt and shame when we say no. All of those things, because the fear of not belonging, of not being accepted, is so painful. Now, the challenge with that is it has long-term severe consequences if you are not living into your authentic self. It takes tremendous energy to continue wearing a mask or a facade, pretending that you're somebody that you're not, or pretending that it's totally okay, but underneath you're burning in anger or resentment and saying, God, what the hell? Like, why did I say yes to this? And it really damages so many human relationships or personal relationships, because the other person, it's kind of like passive aggressive, right? Like, we're saying yes with a big happy smile on our face, but underneath, and the other person will feel that. I promise you, they will feel it to some degree, just depending on how attuned they are to you. But it is really challenging when we're in that particular situation. And the problem with attachment versus authenticity is when we feel that we are not loved or accepted for who we are, that, by our parents, that is almost incomprehensible for a young child to think that. So where do we go? We make ourselves wrong. We blame ourselves, because that is something that unconsciously we feel that we can control. Oh, I can change myself. I can make myself more acceptable. If I make myself wrong, then it's nowhere near as painful as the comprehension that my parent is incapable of loving me in this moment. Now, again, that's from a child's perception. As an adult, we might be like, God, mum was so stressed out, or she was, having a really hard time, or she had no clue on how to love herself, so she was projecting all of this stuff on me. That is the mechanism of healing as an adult. But as a child, we're taking all these concepts in, and we blame, shame, and make ourselves wrong in that moment. And often we've had shame projected onto us as well. Authoritarian parenting is very shame-based. Do as I say, you're wrong. You have to do it, like all of that kind of stuff. And often it can be a look and a tone that instigates that shame immediately within you. And if you have a partner then also that looks or has a similar tone in their voice, you will experience that trigger of shame immediately within you. Or if anybody else, generally this is in work or personal relationships, all these unhealed parts within you will get triggered. I once read a meme that was like, you will either birth it, marry it, or work for it. Meaning that we have these interpersonal relationships in life. They are the most holy and spiritual and sacred things, because they expose to us, they are a reflection, a mirror of all these parts of ourselves that are yet to be healed. And that is when we take personal responsibility for that, when we step into that space, and when we come back to that place of loving and healing these aspects of ourselves, really questioning what we're making these things mean, then that is what truly sets us free moving forward. And you'll know, because you will no longer be triggered by that which shows up in others, or by that which they're projecting on you as well in that moment. Hey Jean, great to have you on, honey. So it's really, really powerful by taking all of these things, by questioning, what am I making this event mean? And understanding that mechanism of shame is really, it is a biological response, just like the fight-flight response. It triggers like a whole cascade of chemical reactions within the body. But for me personally, I get a really cloudy head just here. So I'll get like a foggy in my mind. I will lose clarity. I kind of get tunnel vision, meaning, like it's really hard to see, and again, that takes us into like a fight-flight response as well, or sugar burning mode. You may actually be aware of that if you're a runner. If you're enjoying the view, you're able to look around, you'll know that you're in fat burning mode versus sugar burning mode, which is just literally meter and a half in front of you in the tunnel. But that is also an experience it's like slightly different biological response, obviously, when we're running and things like that. But in the experience of shame, you will avert your eyes. You will not be able to make eye contact. You will want to withdraw from the world. You'll be beating yourself up. You'll be potentially trying to fix yourself. And we can have all these shameful thoughts. Like some of my biggest beliefs were, there's something wrong with me. I'm always to blame. It's always my fault. I'm responsible for everything. I can't be happy until everybody else is happy. Like a lot of these, if you think about those beliefs and you actually really believe those beliefs to be true, that's a really, really painful way to live life. And often we can be living that way really, really unconsciously. I had all those beliefs, playing out in my life that I wasn't even aware of. And it wasn't until I really started feeling into and going, gosh, oh my God, I'm making this mean this. And this is all part of what I actually take my clients through over the 12-week period with my Thrive program. It's one of the most comprehensible or comprehensive courses that it's certainly the most comprehensive course that I've ever created. It brings in all sorts of different modalities, tools and skills that you get to use to learn how to set yourself free. But not only that, in terms of the physical healing that needs to happen, the mental, the emotional, and also that spiritual connection, because as Gabor Mate says, the trauma is not the event, but it's what happens inside of you when that event happens. And I think that is really, really core to remember, because it's what we're making that event mean about us personally when that event actually happens. And so it's really, really powerful to remember, and such a powerful thing to be able to address these parts of ourselves that we've rejected, that we've shamed, that we've made wrong, and that are getting triggered by external responses as well. So reach out to me if that is really resonating with you, or you're like, oh my gosh, I'm being exhausted, I'm so tired, or you find it really difficult to be really authentic in your relationships. Yes, liberation is in the realization. Absolutely, Helen, I totally agree. And absolutely, Erica, yeah, setting yourself free and living from a true place of authenticity is so, so powerful. It feels amazing. It feels wonderful to be living in that space. And as always, it's never a one-time certificate. There's varying levels and degrees, just like there is with self-love. And there's deeper levels that we can live into in our true authenticity as well. And authenticity is absolutely critical if you are truly wanting a very deep, authentic, intimate connection with others, certainly in your own intimate relationship, but even in your personal relationships. That you either play surface level, yeah, I'm good, yeah, it's good, or you can really drop into those greater levels of intimacy. And certainly in my experience, that is where the true juice and joy and light and love is in life. And it's all these other things, these mechanisms, these beliefs, the shame that gets in the way of that truer, deeper connection, both with yourself but also with others as well. So lots of love to you all. I truly hope that's been helpful and supportive. And if that is you, please reach out, send me a PM. let's have a conversation and see if and how I may be able to assist you moving forward, letting go of a lot of these beliefs. But the most powerful thing as well is actually giving these skills and tools to your kids, or to your loved ones. That is by far certainly my main mission in life, and certainly one of the main reasons why I do a lot of the work that I do as well. Hey Jennifer, great to have you on, darling. Is really, my girls are now 18 and 20. They've seen me progress over the years in doing lots of self-healing work, and the level of awareness that they have, the level of skills and tools that they have in order to shift and move into their truer authenticity and what's right for them, and be guided by their own internal self. That is a true gift for life, and is such a gift to be able to give to your own children as well. So have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks so much for tuning in, and if this has been helpful for you, please like, love, or share it with somebody that you know it could add value to as well today. Have a great day. Bye for now.